Welcome to Krome Cast. Check it out. I'm Sam Major, Commercial Director for Krome Technologies. I'm joined today on the podcast by one of our vendor partner managers, Martin Hodgson. He is the Vendor Channel Manager for UK and Ireland for Paessler AG. Martin, welcome.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
To add some context to this conversation, crikey, we've been dealing with Paessler for, I'll put a year on it, but the best part of a decade. Obviously, great product, very interesting tool, and you're probably aware of this, but we actually came across your product as a customer. So we were using, and you'll be more aware of the product Nagios at the time, which was a good piece of open source software, did the job, but was horrendous to operate on a daily basis. The overhead was kind of outweighing the benefit of having a tool that monitored everything that reported on it, because we had a full-time guy just monitoring Nagios, which is obviously not what you need out of your network monitoring system. So we went out to market, looked at plenty of products, SolarWinds, etc., people like that, and good products, but this was in the early days of Krome, potentially didn't have the budget for that sort of product, if I'm honest with you, and found Paessler, but actually found that gave us everything we needed from a functional perspective to monitor our systems and our infrastructure as a service platform for our customers. Fantastic. And it was, by becoming a customer of it, we saw it and said, you know what, we need to take this out and become a reseller of it and take it out to our customer base. Obviously, that's that's been going well for a while now. So I guess that's how we discovered you guys, and obviously we're clearly fans of it. If you could tell me a bit more from your perspective, some of the how you've expanded your product set and some interesting features that people would be interested in.
Yeah, sure. Well, with PRTG, our target customer is the IT admin. And the target that we set ourselves is simply to make their working life easier. So we're looking to do a number of things for them. We want to proactively notify them of any issues or problems. We want to give them insightful, useful data to address their issues. And we want to look for any opportunities we have to reduce their workload. Now, in recent times, we found more and more admins are sharing a service availability dashboard, or a map, as we call it in PRTG parlance. And that's allowing some of the users who are working from home the ability to see which systems are available for them to connect to. And the reason we do this is that it helps users help themselves, which is a massive boost for IT. But also, it really reduces the number of duplicate tickets when users know that there is an outage. So now you asked about other vendors, and ultimately the biggest difference between us and some of the other folks out there is that where they have bolt-on modules for different aspects of monitoring, with PRTG we give our customers all of our sensors. We give them everything.
I think that was a real boon for us when we looked at your product. Is I guess it's, you buy a car, you can buy a BMW, but you've got to be willing to tick every box there is to get a car that's worth having. And then for us, obviously, as when Rupert and I looked at this as owners of the business, and with our CFO, Alex, looking at obviously the cat and the penny side of it, kind of refreshing to see that that's all encompassing from a license perspective. There was never a gotcha of we'd like to add this, we'd like to add that, and there was suddenly an extra line, a license fee that we had to tick and pay for. That was a real, for us as a consumer of the product, that was a real big win for us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'd say, looking back over 2020, is the rapid rate of development of our new sensors. Obviously, 2020 was a very challenging year for many businesses. We were able to grow a little, which, we take that. And we also managed to launch our new product, Paessler PRTG Enterprise Monitor.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's a good point, actually. We're certainly seeing from our side of it, excuse me, a bit of a change in our customer base with PRTG. Traditionally, that's been more the medium-sized enterprise that we're implemented to and supporting PRG in, but I'd say for our higher, larger enterprise customers are using more of the, let's call them, I suppose, reassuringly expensive tools that are on offer. But we're seeing a shift. and we're seeing the larger organisations now, implementing very large. Again, implementing, wrong word, over and over. But we're seeing larger installs of PRTG, and the number of sensors that we're selling is kind of growing exponentially. So, from your perspective, I guess it'd be good to understand how you guys how your tools evolve and how you're able to scale now into that enterprise space, and I suppose where the benefits are with PRTG, with those larger, kind of massive, let's call them, environments.
Well, when I joined Paessler in 2017, there were a number of customers who said to me that they loved PRTG, and that's a word I've heard throughout my time. Admins love PRTG. They loved how easy it was to implement and live with, but they felt that we could do more to help them with the large-scale deployments, and that's pretty much what we did. So when we introduced Paessler PRTG Enterprise Monitor, we brought in a number of fundamental changes for our customers who needed scale. So firstly, we removed the link between licensing and architecture. So customers, where previously they'd been compelled to build fewer, larger PRTG servers to accommodate our licensing, we got rid of that. So they can build as many PRTG servers as they like with no restrictions, so that their architecture is their own choice. Of course, that then brings in a problem in itself, which is how do you bring them then into a single pane of glass? And that's where the ITOps board, the ITOps dashboard, with its simple elegance, comes in, and it allows a user-tailored view of the health and the performance at an appropriate level for whoever that user is, whether that's a CXO or an engineer. They get an appropriate level of insight into the services and the like. And then finally, one of the big differences that we implemented was that we allowed customers to shift over to an OPEX model. So the Enterprise Monitor product is available exclusively on a subscription basis.
Yeah, I think that's that's the way the software market's going. But shifting that capital expenditure into an operational spend, clear advantages for a lot of businesses. It makes absolute sense to me. So many of as we're seeing, let's say we're onboarding a lot more of the larger enterprise clients to PRTG. And historically, and whilst we've done a good number now of the enterprise monitoring tool, have been standard monitoring tool customers. But as you've alluded to there, but with a large growing amount of sensors. So we need to take them, and other people that will be listening to this podcast that PRTG customers need to understand how they get themselves from point A, a standard customer, to point B. If you can talk us through what does that upgrade path look like? And then how does the pricing structure wraparound look as well?
Sure. So I think the first thing is we drew a line in the sand, which is that a PRTG core, a PRTG instance, has a recommended cap of 10,000 sensors as a maximum. And that's the XL1 license. Now, what we've done, with a number of your XL1 and multiple XL1 customers, we've helped them migrate from PRTG Network Monitor up to the enterprise product. Now, because we did that, we broke the tentacles by breaking that link between the license and the architecture. They've ultimately got better performance. And they've been able to reuse all of the knowledge that they've gained over the years of monitoring with PRTG, and then leveled up. And because all the monitoring within Enterprise Monitor is exactly the same, but then it's the ITOps dashboard and that service level overview that you get. So commercially, the Enterprise Monitor starts from a shade under 15,000 euros. And with a minimum initial subscription of 1 year and 20,000 sensors. But in terms of existing PRTG customers, we've always had a very fair upgrade policy. We like to give our customers as much as we possibly can of their investment in PRTG back. And typically, I've seen that where we're doing a 3-year subscription, they've had a fair proportion of their capital costs back. So I would encourage them to talk to you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you look at just the pricing. I remember being very pleasantly surprised, when we did a bake-off, and I've mentioned SolarWinds. There are a number of others which people be aware of, and you look at the tick boxes of feature sets, etc., and then you kind of look at the commercial difference on the end. To be able to offer what you offer there for, say, a shade under €15,000, very compelling. I think that's the takeaway on that. It's such a good feature-rich tool for the money. That's why I'm such a big fan, such an advocate as well. When you take into the cost saving operationally that it delivers you to be proactive, and now obviously with the added features of Enterprise and the scalability of Enterprise, it's quite compelling as to why wouldn't you, rather than would you. So anyway, we're obviously clearly an advocate. As I said, we've been doing this. I'm trying to think the exact date, but it is the best part of a decade. And some of our customers, people in the channel will know, people outside the channel may not, but obviously you have a direct model and a channel model. From Paesler's position, from your position, also being a channel manager, if you can talk our audience through, where you feel the importance of good channel partners are, and I guess, how you feel Krome, along with our expertise and our professional services wraparound knowledge fit into your ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you know, you're one of our top tier partners. And indeed, you're one of only two UK partners certified to resell the Enterprise Monitor platform. So, that's something that you should be very proud of. And when we brought that product to market, the intention was absolutely for it to be fulfilled through our channel. Our channel is super important to us. We're a global team of just over 300 people. And we have 300,000 customers, and we don't provide professional services. So it doesn't take too long to see what your contribution is. We do not sell professional services, and you can imagine there's a big difference between an enterprise class customer who wants a whole solution and somebody who simply wants a transactional business because they already know what they need to about our product, and that's why we have our direct model.
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, I love the backstory that you guys have. The idea of being a customer before you became a reseller. You and your folks know your onions. We love what you do with creating the custom sensors. And, for those people who are listening to your podcast, I have no reservations in recommending you personally. And the feedback that I've had from our mutual customers is without parallel. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm going to make me blush, but it comes down to the fact that we really believe in the product. We do monitor all of our own environment, the hosted platforms, everything is monitored by PRTG, and we've done some interesting things with the product over the years. Obviously it's a network monitoring tool, but it's amazing what attaches to the network these days, and what you can actually do with it. I remember we had an interesting use case. I was talking to, I shan't name names, but a very large higher educational institute in the south of the country. And I was talking to the team there, and they had other tools for the job. They couldn't see a place with PRTG at that time, but I caught the ear of the AV team, and their pain point was the fact that they had a huge number of auditoriums, and they booked these out for people like the late Stephen Hawkins to come and speak at, etc. As a huge revenue generator for them. And there are instances where they wouldn't realise that an auditorium had a broken bulb in a projector or whatever wasn't working until it was kind of go time, and the disruption, the disturbances that caused it was huge. The cost implications were massive. And we, did a POC with PRTG there, and I think they dipped their toe in for a few hundred sensors. In fact, it was the free 100 sensor license to prove the case that it would work. And they very quickly became an XL1, then an XL5, and literally huge installation. But it was outside of what people, I guess, would perceive as being the norm. Looking at the AV and whatnot. obviously that's hopefully my interesting war story. You've probably seen a few. You probably see, something similar in your time at PRTG.
Oh, there's one of the things that we love to hear is all the unique and interesting ways that people implement the product. One of the ones that leaps off the page to me that I really enjoyed working with was, me being a definite nerd, is the National Museum of Computing at Bletchley Park. And to, in a single leap, go from, we have the oldest working computer in the world there. It's a 1950s super calculator, for want of a better word, and it's paper tape based. And it's obviously super important being so old. And we monitor it using IoT. So, from paper tape to IoT in a single leap. I read recently about one of the implementations up in the Nordics, where one of our ISP customers had written their own custom sensor. And this one very much appeals to me because he's created a custom sensor to check on the weather and sea conditions, and PRTG alerts him when he should book a day off to go fishing for cod. We love that. That's our sort of sensor.
A real world phishing attack.
Oh dear, it really is. And then finally, I have to go back to where all this came from. Dirk Paessler. Dirk's vision is that PRTG can positively impact on a company's use of energy, amongst other things. And some time back, we implemented a solar array. I know lots of vendors have done that. But being the monitoring company, we didn't just do that, and we're actively monitoring, what a difference that's making, and trying wherever we can to not only make those initiatives to reduce consumption, but also to monitor and measure them. So yeah, that's our bigger vision.
I like that. That's good. It's always interesting to, I guess, share war stories and to see how other people are taking a product and then adapting it and use it in versatile and inventive ways. And I guess you've certainly got a product which is adaptable, and we can push this across most verticals, most industry sectors, and find those unique and interesting use cases for it. So it's again, I can't say enough about products. I don't usually shut up about it talking to customers because it is so useful to help us, find out the pain points we need, and especially as a managed services provider, having an install of this is a no-brainer because it literally tells us what's up, what's going on, and our team are on it proactively. So you make us look good. Obviously, conversely, we make you look good by doing our professional services, but that's very much a reciprocal relationship. So yeah, again, huge fans. Got elephant in the room, how to phrase this. I'm sure viewers of our podcast, obviously being in the tech industry, will be aware that there's been chat in the press around hackers and vulnerabilities found in, let's just say, other solutions. So I'm not digging into details around whose, but I'm sure people have questions for your company, around what is Paessler doing in response to kind of the recent attacks that you guys have seen.
I've had lots of conversations in recent time about this. I mean, we took a step back, and perhaps that's an insight into the sort of organisation that we are. We've intensively examined all of our systems, our processes, our protocols to first of all rule out any misuse, but also, I think more importantly, to discover where we can improve. This is an opportunity for us to take that learning and improve. We have an internal task force there monitoring all of the available information about the attack. It's an ongoing thing, and trying to, as I say, take those learnings. But let me be very clear. Thus far, I hasten to add that there have been no indications whatsoever of an account on Paessler or PRTG, or that there've been any compromises. So, but we're not sitting on our laurels. We're taking the threat very, very seriously.
That's good. So I'd expect nothing less from you and from the partners that we work with. Just looking at time, and obviously I've probably kept you longer than I should. So thank you for investing the time to join me on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. It's been really good to understand and say how you've advanced and evolved and where you're going as a company. Some of the backstory and war stories also, they're good to hear. So thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
This has been Krome Cast. Thank you for joining us. If there's anything you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please leave that in the comments section. It does help us to shape future content. Please like, subscribe and share. Thanks again for joining us on Krome Cast. Take care then.